Welcome back to the Harold Fannin segment presented by BetMGM. I'm Jamey, that's Dave, that's Heath. We're talking tight ends, but basically we're just talking about the Browns tight ends because that's the biggest story of the week. It's been one of the more popular players to be picked up off of waivers in terms of Fannin. And what do we do about David Njoku? So here's the tight end rankings 1 through 12. But let's not even worry about what the rankings are because you're starting Bowers, you're starting McBride, you're starting everybody else. Just get to that other side there where you see the two Browns helmets for Harold Fannin and David Njoku. So Mr. Harold Fannin, #1 fan club representative. What do we expect from the Browns tight ends for week number 2? Because Fannin was awesome. Njoku was not. The targets were much more in favor of the rookie. Njoku only had 6. Fannin had 9. How do we expect it to go in week 2?
15-plus targets between them. Probably, which is 15 is what they had last week, and they've done that a lot of times. Joe Flacco has been the quarterback that he averages 42 attempts per game playing for the Cleveland Browns. So you're going to see about 15 of those go to those guys. One of them is going to score a touchdown this week against the Ravens. The real interesting thing is how it's split up. We get to find out this week because I think both these guys are going to be in starting contention moving forward. But is it Fannin over Njoku? And I think it might be because it looked like that in terms of just how they move with the football.
Fannin took a lot of the plays that were earmarked for Njoku last year,
right,
and he did better with them. He's faster. There's no question about it. He ate the safety for the Bengals, Jordan Battle. He ate his lunch like 3-4 times throughout the game. So if I'm the Browns, of course I want to get this guy involved. And does anyone here think that the Browns are going to be able to run the ball on the Ravens?
Maybe with Harold Fannin.
Exactly. So these short throws that we see from Joe Flacco, that makes up for the run game. Makes all the sense in the world to give it to Fannin, who's got a much better chance of breaking one of those short passes and turning it into a long play than Chief does.
So I'm looking at the rundown that we have here for this segment, and it's toughest player to rank, Harold Fannin, David Njoku for you, for me.
Yeah.
Start is Harold Fannin, sit David Njoku for you. It's just the Browns tight end segment because that's just the most fascinating situation. But let's talk about a couple other guys here. So the toughest player to rank for you, Dave,
was Fannin.
I'm sorry, for you, Heath, is Mark Andrews. I just see Fannin everywhere.
Right.
Mark Andrews. Disappointing week 1, but we did see Noah Fant score a touchdown against this Browns defense for the Bengals last week. So do we think Andrews bounces back?
That's why he's the toughest player to rank because I have no idea. I wasn't totally sure he was going to bounce back last week after week 1, and then he went on and scored 11 touchdowns in the next 16 games. So you have to be open to that possibility. I think with my ranking, maybe I'm a little bit too open to that possibility. But Mark Andrews has been a huge – they chose to keep him around even after the disaster at the end of the playoffs. They had his back all offseason. He's been a huge part of this organization for half of a decade. It's hard to believe he's going to see 1 target per game moving forward. And there's going to be some weeks where if he does get 1 target, it might be a touchdown, and he scores 8 points on it anyway. So he's going to be a difficult guy. But I think he's directly connected to one guy we talked a lot about in the wide receiver segment. If we see his role continue to be diminished, then I don't know that we have to worry about where we rank Zay Flowers because he's just going to be a star.
Right.
If, just yes or no question, if Andrews stinks this week and likely is healthy week 3, are you dropping Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so the starts for you, Harold Fannin, no surprise. For you, it's Brenton Strange. Why?
Because he's taking on the Bengals defense that allowed numbers to
Harold Fannin.
He's no Harold Fannin.
He is no Harold Fannin. He's more Njoku than Fannin. But I like the way that the Jaguars got him involved early on last week. And if this is going to be a high-scoring game between the Jaguars and the Bengals, Vegas seems to think so. Everybody here seems to think so. I think Brenton Strange could end up having 4 or 5 catches, 50 or 60 yards, maybe find the end zone on top of it. Good streaming tight end this week.
Got off to a great start. 3 catches in the first quarter last week against the Panthers. Only finished with 4 catches. But Pete Prisco all offseason saying how much the Jaguars wanted to involve Brenton Strange. And we saw that, and especially, you want to talk about tight end being tied to a wide receiver. If Travis Hunter's spending a lot of time on defense, Brenton Strange may see a bigger role on offense. For me, I'm going to start Juwan Johnson, another popular waiver wire addition this week. Played 99% of the snaps last week. Now, the matchup is a lot tougher this week, taking on the 49ers and Fred Warner, but I still think Juwan Johnson's involvement, his opportunity, the way Spencer Rattler's looking for him, Johnson could be considered a starting tight end. So the tight ends that we're sitting this week, David Njoku for you. For Heath, it's Dalton Kincaid. Why?
Well, you look at the stat line, and he's like, man, he's had a 14-point week. Dalton Kincaid's back. He played less than half of the snaps, and he had 4 targets on 46 attempts from Josh Allen. He's just not a big part of this offense. Josh Allen's going to throw 30 passes a lot more often than he throws 40, and Dalton Kincaid's going to be a touchdown-dependent streamer.
I do hope we get another big game, or quality game. I just want big game, quality game from him. And listen, I'm with you. You shouldn't necessarily run to start him, but if he does have another big game, and especially like if we see Coleman taken out or Shakir not having big games, and Josh Palmer was a play away from having a big game as well. But Kincaid is somebody that I think a lot of people are interested in seeing him play well, so it would be nice to see. And the same thing with Kyle Pitts. He's going to be a sit for me. I was very excited about him going into the week, and then we get to Wednesday, and his Drake London shoulder is okay. Darnell Mooney's going to return, so the target's probably not going to be there for him. Another guy, though, if he has a good game this week, the way Michael Penix talked about him all offseason, the way he looked in week 1, did a lot of things closer to the line of scrimmage, which is what we've been hoping for the last 3 years. So Kyle Pitts could have an opportunity to hopefully play well, but a little bit of a tougher matchup taking on Minnesota.
15 games last year where he played with London and Mooney in this offense, and it was with Kirk Cousins, averaged less than 8.5 PPR points per game.
And for what it's worth, his last 3 games against Tampa Bay, he destroys them. Everybody else, he tends to struggle. So we'll see how he does against Minnesota this week. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's all your questions. Ask FFT next here on Fantasy Football Today. Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Before we get to LR's question, Heath, we saw the news that Xavier Worthy going to practice in some capacity this week, according to the Kansas City Star. If he plays, are you starting him?
No, and I don't expect him to play.
Okay, so just maybe getting some rehab work off the side,
Right.
but very encouraging that he may not be out for multiple weeks as we initially expected after getting hurt last Friday against the Chargers. All right, LR wants to know, should I trade Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for Emeka Egbuka in PPR? Has a lot of running backs. Dave says yes.
Do it.
Do it in a heartbeat. Yep, I would agree. Next question. Which side is better in a trade? Travis Etienne, CD Lamb, or Christian McCaffrey and Emeka Egbuka? So, Dave, which side would you rather have? Etienne and Lamb or McCaffrey and Egbuka?
I would lean toward McCaffrey and Egbuka, especially if catches count for anything.
I'll take Etienne and Lamb. McCaffrey and Egbuka might be better for the next 5 to 6 weeks, but I think later in the season, Etienne and Lamb.
Chris Godwin coming back is a little bit of a potential problem for Egbuka, so I would take the Lamb-Etienne side slightly as well, but a fair trade. Next question. Got a tough one this week at Flex. Deebo Samuel or George Pickens in full PPR. So, Heath, which receiver do you like better?
Deebo, and it's not that tough for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think Deebo Samuel, who plays on Thursday, should have the better game than Pickens.
In my league, I would go with Deebo Samuel as well. Next question. Who would you rank out of these 3 in full PPR? How would you rank these 3 in full PPR, Heath? You got Kelsey, Tillman, and Kayshon Boutte.
We probably should have mentioned Travis Kelce after basically his involvement, just barely scoring a touchdown in week 1. I'm still rolling him out there this week as a top 5 tight end, and I'd start him over both these guys pretty easily.
I think I'd start Tillman ahead of Kelsey just because I think the Browns are going to have to throw a lot, but Boutte's going to be 3rd on the list.
Yeah, I think Boutte's definitely 3rd. I would probably go with Tillman as well. Interesting league, though, where you can start either tight end or wide receiver. Next question. Javonte Williams or Krosky-Merritt in a non-PPR league, 16-team leagues. Oh, I'm sorry, it's trade. So would you trade Javonte Williams for Krosky-Merritt?
I would not make that deal.
Who would you rather have rest of season?
Javonte Williams.
Okay. I'll take Krosky-Merritt rest of season.
I think I'd take Krosky-Merritt as well, just because I feel like he's on a better offense.
It's a standard scoring league.
Yep.
So the catches for Javonte won't matter.
But the 2 touchdowns do, though. Last one.
That's in the past.
Full PPR, sit 1. Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Deebo Samuel. All right, so you're sitting J-Mo or Deebo Samuel. It's going to be an interesting conversation here. Who are you going with?
I will sit Deebo over J-Mo because I love the upside for Jamison.
I will sit Jamison Williams.
I'll sit Deebo, but they're almost back-to-back for me, so
Yeah.
tough call, but easy to start Nico Collins and Cortland Sutton. All right, that'll do it for our questions. We appreciate you sending them to us. Again, always use the hashtag AskFFT. It's the best way to find us, and we can help you with all of your fantasy dilemmas. So we got a fun game tonight. We're going to see the Commanders and the Packers, and we have a fun rest of week for you. So make sure you check out our Fantasy Football Today podcast. We have our AFC home games up already with the podcast that we had this morning. We have the NFC home games tomorrow. We'll see what Adam Mazer does to get Dave Richard on the game of the week. So it's always a fun show. Make sure you check us out wherever podcasts are available. You can also follow us on YouTube. And don't forget, Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we have you covered with all of your start-sit questions, getting you set for week number 2. For Heath Cummings, for Dave Richard, for Robert Turbin, and our great production staff, I'm Jamey Eisenberg. Thanks for watching Fantasy Football Today.